public forum. Everyone will just where you're seated, bow you for a moment of silence, and then we'll start. Amen. Thank you for indulging me with that. Commissioners, you've seen the agenda for the public forum. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Have a motion from Commissioner Fouché. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Alexander. Any discussion and or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Floor is now open for public comment, public questions.
I'm Shirley Mitchell, full-time resident, 27 years, 201 Harmony Lane. I just want to thank all of the volunteers, the town, police department, Public Works for the July the 4th parade's success. It was great. And for those lucky enough, blessed enough to be in the parade, it is so amazing to see all these happy faces looking at you, and I love the trailer.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? No one else. I'm going to adjourn and we'll just talk for a while before the regular meeting starts. But the floor is open for any questions of the commissioners or any comments. Seeing no one jumping up, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn until 7 o'clock.
So moved.
Have a motion from Commissioner Fouché to adjourn until 7. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Widmer. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Y'all just keep talking to yourselves and socializing until 7, and we'll start the regular meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, according to our watches, we have 7 o'clock and it's time to start the meeting. If you would stand with me and let's face the flag and say together the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll all just stand. Moment of silence before we start the meeting. Amen. Commissioners, you've seen the agenda, and I would like to have a motion to adopt the agenda with the tabling of nominating someone for the tree board. I'm going to table that if that's okay with you.
I move approval of the agenda with tabling the nomination to appoint a member of the tree board.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Discussion? Or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. I too want to congratulate Montreat again on having a wonderful parade. We had a great start at early in the morning with the race. And thanks to the chief for bringing me a weapon to fire to get the race started. And it all went well with that. I want to welcome a new a member of our staff family has grown, Etta June Brown. And y'all want to know who in the world is Etta Brown? She is the daughter of Drew Brown. Drew is the guy who drives the truck that picks up your garbage, mulches all your trees and leaves every day. So she is with us now, and Drew is very happy. Talked to him this morning, and he's very proud papa. He says he's not getting a whole lot of sleep, but he's a proud papa. Ben, you want to cover the consent agenda?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, staff would ask that the Commissioners consider the adoption of the June 8th Public Forum meeting minutes as well as the June 8th Town Council meeting minutes.
You want to move right on into your interim town manager's communication? I don't like that word interim, but we'll take it.
I understand. I have nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Commissioners, you have received the administration reports, the planning and zoning report, police, public works and water, sanitation, streets, finance, and additional planning and zoning information. Are there any questions and or comments on any of those reports?
Ben, is the chief here tonight?
I'm sorry, I should have made note of that. The police chief is not, he is out ill. But
Okay.
He has Officer Johnson here to answer any questions relating to the police department.
Okay. I'll defer it to that.
Nothing else, Tom? Okay. No one else? Okay, we'll move right along. The floor is now open for public comment. Letta Jean?
Letta Jean Taylor, Oklahoma Road in Montreat. I'm here tonight.
It's okay.
My voice. I'm here tonight speaking for Martha Campbell, who could not be with you. But I have a feeling that the questions she's asking, and she may have sent them to you or already, are ones that the community would like answered as well. What is the impact of ongoing costs being forced on the town operations and all of us who are property owners and taxpayers? For example, staff time, paving, needed equipment, and other items in the CIP. What are the total town expenses for the lawsuit between the town and the MRA with the lodge? What are the total expenses for this matter, beginning with training and support for the Board of Adjustment, prior to the initial deliberations on the request of the Montreat Conference Center in 2021 through the end of the fiscal year of 2023. What had been the average current monthly expenses of this litigation at this stage of the process with attorney, discovery, consultation, support for staff, and for volunteer committees? What decisions have staff and council made to provide for current and future costs of this and other lawsuits? How will financial updates be shared with the residents of the town now and in the future? Thank you.
Do you have anything on that?
I have some information as it relates to those questions. If you,
Letta Jean, this would have probably been better on question and answer period during the forum, since we don't really answer questions, as you well know, during a regular meeting. But I'll allow Ben to give a recap of what he's got. Okay,
I can either respond now or I can address it after the meeting if you would like.
okay. Thanks, Ben. Any other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
It's been Lane, and my sister and I just wanted, it's not a question, just wanted to state one thing. Of course, my phone is not going to do it. In view of the recent and ongoing hotel controversy and parking issues around Montreat, I would like to see a similar section 3.3.3 titled Tax-Based Revenue Sources from the 2008 Comprehensive Plan be added to the 2023 plan. This topic was raised as an important issue by the town's consultants, yet it has not been mentioned again. The MRA and college drive the need for municipal services, yet do not adequately contribute to the town's property base. This needs to be addressed in the 2023 plan. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. We'll move on. Under old business, we don't have anything. But under new business, we've got the public hearing regarding Montreat Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan. And before we get into that, I want to thank Dr. Maurer, Richard Dubose, John Casper, Bill Seaman, Maggie Elliott, Maury Grambling, and Daniel Hewitt for serving on that committee close to 2 years and bringing this to a close. And we did thrash this out quite a bit. And I say thrash it out. Okay, I need a motion to open the public hearing.
Move to open public hearing.
Have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Otto. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Floor is now open for public hearing. Public hearing is for us to listen to your comments. We cannot answer. We do not respond to your questions if there are any, but we will listen to your comments. And that's what a public hearing is all about, for us to hear what you have to say. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Be sure and state your name, Priscilla, and where you live.
Thank you so much, Priscilla Hayner, 319 Assembly Drive, Montreat. First of all, I wanted to thank the committee. I know some members are here and I agree with what you said and what I know I've said to others earlier and many of us have talked about. I think it's a good plan. There's a lot there. It covers a lot of issues that certainly were part of the mini meeting that I took place in and other conversations. So it's a lot of good work done well. And I also wanted to thank you all for opening up 2 months of public input, not only because people have a chance to come to speak, but I think it also engages people more in reading the plan and thinking about, are these the issues? So I don't know how many comments there will be today or next month, but I think it's a real window for people to engage. And I think that's been fantastic. I wanted to make two comments, and I sent you all yesterday because I wanted you to have a chance to see, since I'm going to submit something in writing just to see it in advance, and it's not lengthy, but two comments. One is in consultation with others around Montreat and with the Preservation Society of Asheville and Buncombe County, we were thinking that the vision statement on development, community character and development, I think is the formal name of that vision statement, and especially the objectives to implement that vision statement, we thought could perhaps be given a little bit more oomph, so that the implementation was more clear. They're more specific things. Again, not elaborate, but to give a little bit more clear suggestions as to what could be taken forward, which would be, I think, more similar to what you see in the other two vision statement objectives. So you have that. I will also give you written printed copies here. But we were hoping that that could strengthen the language without, again, making particularly radical changes of any sort. The second is I just wanted to echo what the comment was made earlier already. I also was struck that I don't believe there's a section within the comp plan on revenue, which is of course a challenge for Montreat, as we all know, and we all know that we rely on property taxes for most of the income for Montreat. And I think the special challenge of having two very important and large nonprofits in Montreat is a special challenge that needs to be given attention. And I know it has been given attention by people here and in the past, but perhaps if we put it specifically in the plan as something that does need more attention, which is very much what they included in the 2008 plan. I think there was very good and sober language suggesting a path forward in that plan. So I thought that that might also be useful if that were possible to include a short section on revenue. I don't want to go over my 3 minutes, Mr. Mayor, but I'll leave perhaps the printed copies with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Hayter. Anyone else? Come on up.
Shirley Mitchell, 201 Harmony Lane. This is a dumb question. But when you come out with the final plan, is it everything that's in this book? More or less?
This will be a final document.
Similar to this?
I don't know, it's gonna be similar. I hope it's just a lot better.
Well, will it have community context? Because I'm wondering, this says that Montreat was founded in 1905 by the Montreat Conference Center. I don't think that's accurate. I think it's 1907.
We'll look at that.
Okay.
Kayla, you in here? Oh, there you are, back there in the back. You look, check that out for us, Kayla. Who else?
My name is Rusty Douglas. I live at 227 Alabama Terrace. I too came with two questions and I gather they're not going to be answered. So maybe I could make a comment about them. My first one, let's see, had to do with the special use permit. I hope that the process of getting a special use permit in this new plan is the same as it was in the old plan, that there are 6 criteria that have to be met. If you don't meet them all, then you don't get the special use permit. It seems to me a lot of wisdom in that, and there's a fallback position to a judge who knows how to weigh competing forms of evidence. Second thing, I guess it has to do with the revenue. I was thinking about the last 2 years, all these pickleballers who rolled in here. And I have some good tennis friends. They think, to use a biblical term, pickleballers are more like uncircumcised Philistines. They don't like them much. Okay. They take up all the tennis courts. But I'm curious as to whether MRA pays a different tax for pickleballers than they do people who come here for religious conferences. It seems to me you don't get a nonprofit organizational status to invite pickleballers and other people like that. And so I'm curious as to whether they pay taxes differently And is that the case for other groups that are going to come here in the future that are not associated with their religious program? I don't know the answer to that. And I'll go talk to Richard and find out maybe at some point. Thank you.
Rusty, if Kayla wave your hand again, look back behind you. You'll talk to her after the meeting. She can tell you about special use permit. That's a zoning person. Okay. Yes, sir.
Powell Jones, 421 Appalachian Way. I made some comments at the planning and zoning meeting when they were wordsmithing the plan, and it was suggested by the chairman of that committee that I bring my comments to you. And the biggest part of it is a thank you to you to accomplish the comprehensive plan and update the 2008 is a huge thing for Montreat and so vital and something will impact us for maybe 10 years. And so thank you for encouraging it. And thanks to the planning and zoning folks for their role, but also the steering committee, many of whom are represented tonight, for their hard work over the last couple of years. A couple of additional comments, and I'll try to be brief. You've been given additional citizen input tonight on further tweaking on some items that I think will really help the plan. We ask you to please take that input seriously. I was given the opportunity to participate in one of the many listening sessions last summer, and the clear guidance I heard from that group of community members was to be certain that the comp plan helped to guard development in Montreat from disrupting the natural beauty, change the charm that comes with the many historical structures that we have, and protect from having development focused on increasing tourism or changes that further magnified traffic and safety issues. Those were very, very clearly stated in the many meetings that I participated in. And this plan appears to reflect that sentiment. But we all know that the interpretation of the plan is the key for what the plan really means. And that means in zoning and other changes that might be made in the future. So just would ask, we all know the comp plan has a certain role, but it is not the end all. I'd like to encourage all of you in town leadership to consider page 56 and 57 in the plan, the section labeled next steps. Items 4 and 7 leave a lot of room for interpretation. The citizens need to be certain that the plan, if approved as written, will be interpreted with consistency with sentiments expressed across the entire plan. Item 4, I'll point out, preserve, protect, and enhance the character of Montreat by evaluating and improving existing allowable uses, densities, and dimensional regulations in each zoning district. And then
Next steps is on page 61 of the plan. Am I mixed up here?
no, I'm sorry, my numbers are probably off because from the original copy that was put out. But we are talking about the development section.
Oh, development.
Thanks for
Okay.
correcting me, Tom.
All right.
Item 4 and item 7. So my point is interpretation after the comp plan is approved is going to be critical. Item 7 in that same section, in the spirit of long-term success of the town of Montreat, work collaboratively with the institutions of the town, including, but not limited to Montreat College and the Mountain Retreat Association, on any future development plans to support the vitality and future of the institutions in the town. And there's some language that's been suggested to tweak that slightly. But again, the interpretation is what's going to be most important going forward. And that's the point I really wanted to make. Lastly, the point's already been made twice tonight. You all have worked very hard and have made it plain that you don't want to increase taxes on us property owners. And it's been suggested that the 2008 plan, the section 3.3.3, be moved and included in the 2023 plan. We know y'all are already working in ways to try to improve revenues in ways other than property taxes. And I would just encourage you, as has already been said twice tonight, to consider putting that section or some portion of it in the new plan. Thank you. And thank you again for what you do every day to serve our community.
Thanks, Powell. Next.
I'm Brad Hester, 192 Mississippi Road. And I'm chair of the tree board, which is why I rise at this moment. For some time, I have been thinking that the board needs to have a way of engaging with MRA and the college, and where we can have a conversation together about the care and what we're going to do with the beautiful trees that we have here. And so I welcomed, it's on this, it's page 50, item 2, where the tree board should collaborate with exactly those people. And I really welcome that. And further down the page, review of the list of trees, that's a little less onerous. One thing I noticed is lacking from this. I look for an appendix. I look for other pages that might shed some light on that. What do people have in mind about how that would be done? And I think that that's something that really needs attention, because it could be a very big job. It could require ultimately the redoing of the tree board charter, and so I think careful thought needs to be given to how that would be done, because I think it represents a shift in the role of the tree boards, which I personally, and I think other tree board members really welcome, but I think it's something that really needs careful attention.
Thank you, Brad. Next. Seeing no one else jumping up, I'll move on. Need to close public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
Commissioner Alexander made a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Whitman and I think Commissioner Fouché. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Now, discussion of Montreat to Mara Comprehensive Plan by the Board of Commissioners and MS Consultants, if necessary. And no decision is going to be made tonight at this meeting. We've got another public hearing at our next meeting also. So is MS Consultants, Kayla, going to jump in here, or are we just going to talk about it, and if we need answers from them, ask them? Okay. They're available, Commissioners. Do y'all have any questions of MS Consultants?
They want to respond to any of the comments made? Should they?
They don't really. No, they need to respond to us, Commissioners, for our discussion. If there are any questions that you have that you want to relay to them.
I do have a question, since it was brought up 3 times about the revenues not being included in the plan. Either you or maybe one of the other members comment, or even MS Consultants, as to why that was not included in this plan.
Because you and all these other commissioners are working so hard on other revenue sources. And that's true. The commissioners are, and we're looking at all sorts of new things. We just raised water rates. And the reason we've raised water rates is that the town, the water system must, in the state of North Carolina, be supportive of itself. And that means not only the electricity that runs the wells and the repairing of the wells and the people who test the water and read the meters and the people who send out the bills, and all that has got to be paid for by the water fund. And in years past, we kind of lost a little bit of a handle on that, in that it hasn't been that way. And when we start looking at the resources or water, we were probably low in the area on charging water rates. So we've raised the water rates, because we've also got to pay for depreciation on these water lines. these water lines are not going to hold up forever, and they've got to be replaced at times. So, yeah, we're looking at those, the revenue sources. Maybe that's my fault, and that it's hard for a committee to pinpoint the revenue sources that are available. To me, that is a staff function and a commissioner's function to find those resources that are out there and available, what other towns are doing, and what we need to do to stay in touch with those. So that's why there weren't any specifics in there. Each one of those tasks that we've talked about, Brad, have been assigned to a specific department in the town. So someone will be addressing the things that you're addressing, or that you're concerned about. How do you go about it? That's going to be addressed by staff. So that's the only answer I can give right now, Tom, is that I think everybody on this board knows how important revenue is and how far hard we've been looking and trying to find the revenue sources. We've even engaged every one of the county commissioners this past year in meetings and conversations, making sure that if there's a trough out there that's got money in it, Montreat will have an opportunity to dip its beak in that trough. Commissioner Alexander and Mayor Pro Tem Mason Blake went to Raleigh to a state of the state, state of the town, whatever, dinner, and sat and talked to some of our delegates up there in Raleigh about resources and dollars. So that's an ongoing process that this commission and this staff, the new town manager, whenever we get one, is going to be working on. Ben has opened our eyes to some possible resources already since he's been here, and we're working on all those. So does that answer your question, Tom?
Yes.
But we did go into any specifics.
Okay, and I agree with that. As I have been working on this issue over the last couple of years, I recently looked at some of those items that were in there, and our state statutes change so frequently. 2 or 3 of the items that were suggested back in 2008 are illegal now. Other things are being discussed right now in Raleigh. So I agree with the general statement about specifics not being included. I just wondered why what your thinking was on the general reference to the fact that most of the revenue responsibilities on the shoulders of the homeowners.
Mason?
I was just going to say, I don't have a problem with the general reference, but having any specifics would be very difficult.
Right,
And
I
it's-
agree.
You know, for those people that don't know, the town can only tax or collect fees or a lot of things only when it's authorized by state statute. Without that authorization, we can't do it. So our hands are tied, and or they're either tied or they're constrained. You got to do it this way or no other way. So it's not easy. It's hard, and I can, as the mayor and Thomas said, we've looked very, very hard. There's no magic bullet out there that's going to bring a lot of revenue, Montreat, but we're looking at under every rock.
Yeah,
Kitty?
that was my question also about the revenue. And when you said we raised water rates, we raised them to the median or mean because we were below even the average. So we didn't go overboard, but we did get in line with everybody else.
We were the second lowest in Western North Carolina.
Well, as I was going through really looking at the comprehensive plan, I find a lot of things that are really good and really important that are being approached. And like you all in the comments, the same thing. And we'll be looking at everything that was said tonight and trying to find out, what actions or what possibilities could be or where we'll go with it.
Okay, commissioners. Move on to item C.
Can I just ask one more question?
Tom?
Where to from here? Yeah, I know next month, we'll have another public hearing and, we'll have an opportunity for action by the council. Will we be talking about it,
Sure,
between now and then? And
sure.
if so, how?
We'll just have to call a special meeting and sit down and talk about it and go through it if you want to, page by page. I've been through this thing so many times, page by page, and a lot of wordsmithing by Paul and Richard Dubose and John Casper, Bill Seaman, all of them. And Daniel was pretty good. He didn't jump in there a whole lot, but we did have some long sessions. I mean, when it takes 2 hours to go through about 20 pages, 30 pages, these folks were very diligent in what they did. But yes, we can do it. But what I would appreciate what the commissioners do when you get a finished copy or a copy of what has been done so far is to start reading it and going through it and marking some things and some questions so that when we get to a meeting, you'll be ready to go to page 22 and what's this mean here or what so forth. So we're not going to spend a lot of time going page by page and saying, you see anything on this page you want to change? Done that, hadn't we, Paul? Okay. Any other comments? Okay. And I'll try to call that before the next meeting. All right. Item C is the consideration of body camera policy. Who's going to cover that? This is one of our lady policemen. And believe it or not, they both like the night shift. Tough ladies.
You're gonna have to bear with me because this was my first time doing policy here. We have already purchased our body cams. I am working on getting them set up. I'm hitting a little bit of a snag with the software. But I feel that they are gonna be great for the department. They're gonna be great for the town. It protects us from liability. It protects our citizens even when we have contact. I'm not sure if y'all all got handed our body cam policy or not. But I am here to answer any questions since this is my baby and nobody's deeper in it than I am right now. So.
All right, commissioners, any questions on the body cam policy?
A couple questions, Jen. Number one, one of the very first things in the proposed policy is the administrator is named. Is that going to be David?
That
Is it
will be me.
you? Okay. Secondly, it's a very well-written policy, but I will tell you, I don't feel that I am qualified to say that's the way it should be. Has anybody looked at it?
Yes, it was, Chief Aaron has looked this over, Ben has looked this over, and I do believe the town lawyer has looked. this
Okay,
over
the
as
town
well.
attorney, that's
He
what,
said it looked good.
that's what I was concerned about.
Any other questions?
And this, one of the tools that government has is they never reinvent the wheel. So,
Just rewrite.
this, a lot of copy and pasting, and it's been one of the directives that I gave our police department was to make sure that this policy is one that has been tried and true.
I've got a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
It provides that members working on off-duty assignments. Now, I just don't understand, as a uniform Montreat Police Department officer shall wear the cameras. What
That
do you mean
is-
by off-duty
That
assignments?
is referencing, for example, our secondary, our parades, things like that, where we are not in a patrol capacity, but we are doing work.
Okay, so you're doing town work at that point.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. One other question.
yes, sir.
How do these cameras activate? Because there's a lot of discussion in here about activating and deactivating.
There are actually buttons on them. And you will hit that button and it will buffer up, but it starts recording before that, if that makes sense. So when I turn it on, it's immediately going to record for 30 seconds before you get visual on them. It's a safety thing that is built into the cameras.
Thank you.
So follow up on this question
Yes, sir.
to just clarify. If you were in uniform working a baseball game or
Yeah.
something for the MRA or the college or something,
Yeah.
then you're using the camera, even though you are not at that particular moment working under the paycheck of the town of Montreat.
Correct.
Okay, so it's anytime you're in uniform working.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that answer was a little different than
Yeah, that's different. I
Then
understand.
you're
Thank you
right.
for
So it's
clarifying.
not a town of Montreat paycheck. It would be working in uniform for a different event.
We would wear the body cams for those events, but in reference to his, like, for example, the parade, because that is something that the town does, to the best of my knowledge, we would be wearing body cams. So yes, on both counts.
Okay.
So, but if it was a college function or an MRA function, you were there.
MRA functions, yes.
So
we
you're
don't-
there shepherding kids
Yes.
from the youth conference at night. You're gonna have the body cam on.
That is my intention, yes.
Okay.
I have a question. When you know, I know you work collaboratively with Black Mountain.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're called to assist you, will you have your body cam on?
Yes, and that is also in the policy that if we are in the assist capacity, we will be running our body cameras.
Jen, since you don't normally come out until nighttime, can you introduce yourself to everybody? I know you modeled your attire there, but introduce yourselves because we don't get to see you often.
So my name is Virginia Johnson. I've been with the department for going on 4 years now. I was a private security contractor before that for a number of years. I do have full intentions of doing my entire law enforcement career here. Yeah. I am also designated our local animal whisperer. So if you get snakes, rabbits and all that, bring them to me. That is what I do.
One other question. If you can speak to this, how does the department overall feel about body cams? You
I
and the rest
have-
of the officers?
I have not gotten any pushback on it
Mhm.
at all. Especially because a good chunk of our department is younger officers as well. We understand that the body cams protect us.
Correct.
They protect us, they verify we did everything to the best of our ability and the scope of our job. And I will always be a big advocate of it, but I've not had a single officer give me pushback on them thus far. And I will also be supplying them with training aids for the new body cams because they are different than what we had used in the past.
So Jen, the administration of this as the administrator really puts a new burden on your shoulders, doesn't it? So it's not going to interfere with your other duties, or your other duties aren't going to interfere with the proper administration of the body cam program.
No, sir, because I am the night shift officer, it does allot me a good amount of time to
That's
work
true.
on our administrative stuff as well. So I've actually been balancing quite a few of our administrative duties for at least the past year, and I've yet to have any significant interference between my patrol capacity and my administrative capacity.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions of Jen?
We appreciate you. Thank you.
We certainly do. Thanks, Jen, for doing all this. And when we all start using the body cameras?
I would like to have them up by the end of the month. I'm hitting a few snags with the software, but that's my last hurdle, hopefully.
Okay. Good deal. Do I have a motion to either approve or deny the body camera policy?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the body camera policy as presented.
Have a motion from Commissioner Whitmer. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Alexander. Further discussion and or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jan. Discussion of possible updates to the solid waste ordinance. Presenter is Mayor Pro Tem Mason Blake.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to include it in the council's packet. provided you with a copy of a procedure and citation form that we have prepared. It's been approved by the town attorney. So that, and this past week, we have issued our first citation for violations of the updated solid waste ordinance. I think everybody, I don't think, I think everybody knows, we've had a lot of problems with everybody in Montreat, and it should be expected with a lot of problems with trash and people not dealing with their trash the way they're supposed to. And we've got to, we've already found some things we need to improve further, but we are issuing citations now for violations of the ordinance as it is. One of the things, though, that we have discovered we would like to propose further revision to the ordinance. And I wanted to bring it to your attention now, hopefully, so you'll be familiar with it enough and I can answer questions you might have over the next month so that we can approve it the next month. And I would hope to approve it with a super majority so that we can pass it on one reading again, of course. And that has to do, and if you look on page 130 of the packet, section 4 of the procedure, it talks about a situation, and it happens a lot, where a bear gets in somebody's garbage, whether they ripped it off or it's left open or for whatever reason, and garbage is strewn along someone's property or into the next property. And right now, with as many people we've got in Montreat, that's a dangerous situation. Okay. And we don't always have, with as many people in Montreat as we've got now, the staff is pushed to the limit. And we don't have the time or resources to send our town staff out to pick up other people's garbage who haven't taken care of the problem. Well, if it's an emergency, we'll try to do it if we have to. But what this procedure calls for is the town staff to contact the person. And in fact, Angie's been doing this on an informal basis, saying you need to clean your garbage. You know, the problem we've got is we've got some folks that just don't cooperate. Not only that, they're rude. That's beside the point. And be rude to Angie is a double black mark. But they just basically tell her to buzz off. And I'm going to read an email from somebody that's told Angie to buzz off a couple of times, but this email is from their neighbor. And I'm going to take out any names and addresses here, but okay, I'm sorry. Just to read, since that time, and she's talking about since this person purchased this house, I have had to help with pick up their trash at least a dozen times. This last month, one bear was very aggressive. I was trying to get in my car for work and she charged me. The bear charged her. The Montreat and city police and city chased her for almost 3 hours before we figured out she had 2 cubs. The next time was July 3rd. This is just a recent email, a couple of days ago. Trash everywhere, and the bear was in the trash can having a great time. It was sort of like a cafeteria. Would not leave no matter what I did. Again, I could not get in my car. This is making me late for work and is unacceptable. Another factor is public safety. All around me is people at the camp, adults and children on vacation, out in their yards, taking pictures, videotaping. And I won't go on. I'll just say that we're going to propose as part of the new ordinance, a situation where the town informs someone they've got to pick up their trash promptly. And if they do, and we'll get, if they're not in town, give them the name of contractors we develop who for a fee will go out and pick up their trash. And if they don't, the city, whether the city uses a contractor or the city has to, or we might have some town staff available to do it, charge people for cleaning up their trash. And I can tell you a personal situation. Amy's here. We go for a walk up the road, Appalachian Trail on most nights. And we were going up just this past week. There was a garbage can on one side of the road. I noticed a bear down on the other side of the road munching on some garbage down there, and he was very aggressive at me. Made, scared us away. We scared. We walked away. We came back down the hill, and the bear, we realized then where the bear had come from, or the trash had come from, because he was then on the road in the can where he had drugged the trash. And it was cafeteria time. And he was having a great time, except we couldn't get back to our cottage. Fortunately, we found someone at home that normally isn't up there, but it's summertime, and got somebody to drive us down the road. So this is the real world that we live in here, and we've got to enforce people taking care of the trash. And if we don't do it, it's a danger to all of us, but the particular danger is to the kids. I drove down this morning earlier. I passed hundreds of kids on the way down in this conference. And, we're not doing our job if we don't enforce the trash ordinance, particularly during this time of the year. And again, as long as everybody cooperates, we'll be fine. But if they don't cooperate, we just have got to do something to get the trash up quickly so that we at least preserve public safety. So that's the end of my comments, and I'll be hopefully bringing some ordinance revisions back.
Mayor Pro Tem Blake has made a presentation. Are there any questions or comments from other commissioners regarding this?
Can I make one other? I also want to say there's one other thing that we're seeing, and that's construction sites. Garbage is being thrown in open construction bins that are not intended for garbage, that are intended for trash revenue. I haven't had a chance to talk with enough people yet to decide whether it's a good idea, but we should take a hard look at requiring construction sites to have some sort of bear-proof bin if their garbage on site from their workers can be placed. Because if they don't have a place there, it's going to get tossed in that bin. These very, very durable, bear resistant trash cans that would work for a construction site, but it's sort of minimum debris they have. It's just basically lunch and breakfast food. They work really well. They're indestructible by bears, and they're just a couple $100. It would not be, I don't think, a big burden. I'd like to talk to some contractors first, and will in the next month, but I think we need to take a look at that.
I'll just tell you that Laurel Ridge has a really good policy on that. They had some significant problems with contractors and the workers throwing trash, open trash into the bins. So they may be able to help.
Yeah, there's a construction bin behind Davis Hall. I see Paul's gone, but it's more like a bear playpen. They're in there bouncing around and eating trash all the time.
On that particular bin that my daughter was coming by, and someone leaving Montreat who had been in there, she didn't know them, but they dropped 6 bags in there. And then the bears came in. But since then, I've seen where the workers are checking it out in the morning.
Any other comments? My neighbor was backing out of a rental in the last couple of days, and I had to run up there and stop her and tell her to go up on Wick Road. Said, your garbage is all over the street up there. And she said, well, I latched it. What she did, she pulled a hasp down, and she didn't put the lock through the hasp. So she said, well, do I need to go pick it up now? I said, yes, ma'am, right now. She said, well, I'm going to be late for clubs. I said, well, you're going to be late for clubs, or you or the owner is going to be fined. And she went up there and picked it up. Les and Suzanne McLean were rescued by Hal Demarest in a similar situation. They went to walk the other night and could not get back home because of a bear in the trash. So it's a problem, and we all know it, and we all see them just about every day anymore. And can't wait till, what is it, October? Bear season. Anyway.
I have I have a neighbor that has a refrigerator on his back porch, green porch, and they came in the porch and emptied the refrigerator and ate the ice cream out of the freezer.
Oh, goodness. Any more comments on, thanks, Mason, for doing all,
Against our statute to leave a refrigerator with food out. That's just wrong.
that's wrong.
Do that in my street.
You
You
need
know,
to know your neighbor.
this streaming land, please, common sense, dog food, cat food. You can't do it. You're feeding the bears.
Right. We through with that? The next item is the continued conversation on parking on Lookout Road and Texas Road. Any comments or insights?
I was the one that asked that Texas Road be included in that Lookout Road discussion, but it has been resolved.
Yeah, what is the last resolution?
Signs every 5 feet saying no parking. And the police department knowing that they can and should be enforcing that.
So
That's
what,
just-
what
that's within the
happened
last
to the
week.
people that have no parking?
I did, fix that one of those people
is
who
not
has no parking has cleared out a tremendous amount of foliage behind their house. And you could pull a tractor trailer in there now. So that, I think they're resolving the,
Well, that one
parking.
wasn't the one that had no parking. There are, I think, two
This,
that it actually has no parking.
You're talking about Lookout, I think.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Texas Road across from by the tennis courts. We'd received
Oh.
comment from
oh, yeah, right.
a resident in that.
So
area.
I've seen the no parking signs on Texas Road. As for Lookout, again, and I'm disappointed that our neighbors were not here tonight, but I have been to the house, walked in the front of the house on Lookout and the back of the house. And unless I'm just 100% mistaken, there's a driveway in the back of the house.
there is, and
To-
and she has cleaned out a tremendous amount of stuff and is gonna have it, you could park a tractor trailer in there now.
And so I think.
That was one. That was one of the problems.
Right, and I do not know where house number 2. Barry, can you speak to that? Is there any house that I have overlooked between Missouri and Lookout that does not have some type of parking access?
Well, the ones that I was really paying attention to was the ones you were addressing right there. Ben and I went the following Tuesday after the meeting and rode up there and seen the driveway that y'all were talking about. And there is other parking for the lower houses, the 2 that's right below that address. There's parking there that we see college kids using throughout the year. So there's still room to put vehicles on the
Okay.
Missouri side of the residences.
So-
Yes, sir.
So thank you for that. And so to the point to any of our neighbors here, our point and the first part with the no parking was because we had so much parking on Lookout. And a lot of it was driven by the fire department from Black Mountains. And we have issues. And if we have a fire, this could be a major issue. So that's why we started and we looked into it from a safety standpoint. Now, in doing that, I certainly understand it for it presents at times an inconvenience for college students, for neighbors or whatever. What we don't want to do is take any residents and say, if you had a parking place now, we've done away with that, especially if we can find ways to help. But I think, again, to my knowledge, and again, if there is a situation, I'd love to talk with a neighbor. I think they do have access to their homes, maybe not from the front, but from the back. And the front was parking on Lookout, which was public access. And again, we did away with that for safety issues. So again, if I'm missing something, please contact me and I'll continue to dig into it.
I also noticed today, because I've been watching Missouri, there was a spot that was no parking and there were cars parked there for several days, but when I looked today, they were gone. So I imagine the police, you all have taken care of that one. Or they don't know. David. It was handled.
And we are putting y'all kind of at task, calling you to task because again, by the tennis courts and as you were speaking earlier about pickleball and such, you know, there's a lot of activity this time of year with clubs, pickleball, tennis and such there. But I understand that, you know, some of the neighbors are having a hard time getting out of their driveway. So, you know, we're for safety, for drivers being able to get out of the driveway. You know, that's why we're doing this. Yet now we're putting it in y'all's court to enforce this. Not that we want to be an unpleasant, you know, town, but again, it's a beautiful town to walk in. If we have to park up, you know, 4 or 5 parking places up and then walk to tennis courts, let's be thankful that we can.
I just have one comment on parking. And I hate to be the penalty guy, but the penalty is $5. We may need at some point, if issuing citations is not, you know, something more than $5 may get people's attention.
During the music conference, that would have really been a good source of revenue. And that's why, if you'll notice the no parking signs on either side of all of the crosswalks, those are there for a reason. You cannot see a small child in a crosswalk if a car is parked there. You can hardly see an adult if a large truck is parked there. So if they step out onto that crosswalk, which we're supposed to stop at, and you don't see them, that's why there are no parking signs on either side of all the crosswalks. And that's something else we just put in not too long ago to make sure all those were there. Okay, any more discussions on parking? Maybe we need valet parking as a source of revenue.
Where's it going?
Public comment. Floor is open for public comment.
Shirley Mitchell, 201 Harmony Lane, and I have a mixed bag of comments. We moved here full-time in 1996. At that point, if we saw a bear, we called the police. They came and got the bear and removed the bear. That's how much it's changed. Then the next relates to construction noise. The house across the street from us has been rebuilt since December. And at one point, I got into a real argument with the head construction guy over radios. Long and short of it, the policeman, Eric, went up there, that stopped. But what's been going on now, there's a terrific crew. They work hard as can be, but they take their radio up on top of the roof and blare it. If the owner of the house is there, it does not happen. And I will say every time, and my porch, you know, we're on the porch or even just in the house, and the music's nice. I'm okay with construction noise. I'm okay with dogs and kids, but not somebody else's music. And whenever I go out, there's only one that speaks English. I go out, if they're polite, they stop. You know, 3 hours later, they're back on the back of the house, blaring the music, and they stop. But the owner of the house, yesterday, you know, I talked to the owner of the house, and that the owner doesn't want to get into problems with the construction people. So I just bring that up as that's an issue. I don't mind asking people to come up. And at least they're polite. Okay, the other thing, I know it was published long ago what the consultant fee was for this Montreat tomorrow was. Can you tell me again? Somebody?
MS consultants,
And the cost?
$39,000.
Well, there were some amendments with the additional meetings. So it's
That's why I'm saying.
Okay.
it's
That's fine.
exceeded
I
$40,000.
know it's published, but if some of the consultants are here tonight, I'd love to thank them.
Well,
for the work.
I think they've already gone. They were here by Zoom. Okay.
Thank you for Zoom.
Thank you, ma'am. Next. Hey, Maury.
I'm Maury Gramling, 216 Alabama Terrace. I also have a mixed bag of stuff that came up just from listening to this conversation. I heard Jen say that she was the animal whisperer, and I don't have a question. I'm gonna make it a statement. I have a copperhead, for instance, in my yard in the middle of the day when Jen's not working. Who do I call?
The police.
Okay, thank you.
Barry. Oh, Barry.
You could try Jason at the nature.
All right, well, I didn't mean to ask a question. Sorry about
Jason likes to get the compliments.
that. All right, second thing is the solid waste ordinance that you were talking about. Just this week, we had a bear on Alabama that got into the garbage across the street from me to the point that the entire bin was moved into the street and all of the garbage was pulled out through the bottom rather than through the top. And, you know, a bear is a very powerful animal. And we've got so many bears in Montreat that they are becoming a nuisance. And even though I am mainly concerned about people, I'm also concerned about the bears. Because if anything happens, it's always the bears that are going to suffer for it. And I would love to try to see if there's some kind of solution besides October and January that might help us deal with the bears. We used to have problems with snakes in Montreat. We don't have those problems anymore. It's bears. And it's because of what happened across the street from me today or several days ago. In fact, the bear came back in the middle of the day and was eating the garbage it had pulled out because it still hadn't been cleaned up. And when the guy came to clean it up, the bear had moved up to the above on the wall. And I had to yell at him that the bear was there within about 10 feet of him. He didn't see it. And he ran back to his truck. And it took him quite a while to get that cleaned up because the bear didn't go away. And she had 2 little babies with her. We are familiar with her. She's never been aggressive so far, but I'm sorry, she had 3 babies with her actually. And when they have babies, they're so unpredictable. And the last thing I want to talk about is being on Alabama Terrace. We were talking about traffic and parking, and Alabama Terrace has become a back thoroughfare for a lot of construction, trucks and vehicles, and a lot of speeding goes on up and down that road because it's maybe short, but it's flat. And when I left to come down here, all 3 of the houses are across the street from me are Reynolds. And when I left to come down here tonight, there were 5 cars parked behind mine, and I could barely get out of my parking place. And I've mentioned it to the real estate person, and she's supposed to be telling them that. But if parking is only $5, that's a great way to make money, I would think. And y'all were talking about the music conference. We got the women's conference coming up too. So that may be another thing to think about. But those are my comments. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Maury. Anyone else? Jean?
Letta Jean Taylor, Oklahoma Road. First, I want to say thank you to our Public Works for all the work they did for the 4th of July for the setup and takedown of the Montreat Gate at the Montreat Gate. They've been doing that a lot of years, and it is a holiday, and they come for half a day of work. And so I really appreciate that. They're always ready to do any task they're given. And we're really blessed to have a staff that's willing to go that extra mile for our community. Whether it's rain or snow or parades, they're always there with a smile on their face, ready to work. I really appreciate that. And it was a treat to see Angie as she served as Grand Marshal. We cheered and she smiled. It was wonderful. Oklahoma Road has finally been paved. We're just waiting for the curbing. The road has to cure some more. And it's a wonderful road now, very smooth. So when I was commissioner, in the very beginning, I was responsible for roads and water. So I still ride roads and still pay attention to water. because I've done it for so many years. Charlie Caldwell taught me a lot when he was our Public Works Director. So I would invite you to please take a ride up Oklahoma Road and then turn and go down Upper Lookout. And you'll see the potholes that are there at the, where the cars park to hike Lookout and the college maintenance shed. It's beginning to deteriorate there. And if you continue down Lookout, you can see that it is bad as well. It becomes evident that you're going to need a lot of money. $45,000 savings. Powell bill will not pave any of our roads. And Arkansas really doesn't have much paving at all. It's just one big pothole from beginning to end. So I would ask you to please try to find some money to pave Arkansas, Assembly, Lookout, Overbrook, Maryland Place. I don't know the order of paving in the roads condition, but all of those are really bad roads. And the longer we wait, the more expensive it's going to be because you're going to have to go down and redo the road bed and all that stuff. And I would like to remind the community that 1 penny for us is less than $30,000. In a community like Asheville, it's several $100,000. So we don't have much money to work with in Montreat when a penny only brings in less than $30,000. And we forget that. I know finding revenue is very hard, but it begins with our low base of less than $30,000. Thanks.
Thanks, Letta Jane. Anyone else? Okay, see. Yeah, Daniel.
Sure this is the right time, but Daniel Hewitt, 525 Saline Road. We're Tyler Smith and Margaret and I have been talking on our walks about the speeding going down all the roads in Montreat. And we're proposing that the town put some more 20-mile-an-hour signs at some specific areas. For example, I'm having fun on Graybeard Trail, watching people coming down from the trailhead there. And if I can get in front of them, I do. And then I go 20 miles an hour. And they're blinking their lights and shaking their fists and all that. And then finally, when I get them down to about the gate, then I pull off and let them go. I know it's kind of a sick thing, but I'm having a good time with it. I'm having a great time with it. But the second thing, Tyler mentions that when we get to the gate, at the gate, put a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit sign on or above the Montreat welcome sign right out here, and have it painted maybe orange or yellow or something like that when they come in. What you see the welcome sign, and then about 30 feet later, you see 20-mile-an-hour sign.
30. It's 30.
Is it 30? 30 to the ball. Okay. But anyway, a little more visibility on 30 and 25 when you come into gate. And then on Graybeard, we rode around, and Kelso, my wife, and I rode around and picked out some areas on Graybeard Trail where the trailhead is. If you would come down to maybe 100 yards or 200 yards before the road starts really getting steep, put a 20 or 30-mile-an-hour sign right there, 20 there, 20. And then there's several other places. Tyler picked out one on let's see. Virginia and Kanawha. So when they're coming down the hill, that's when it really gets dangerous. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. End of public comment, commissioners' communications. Anybody have anything?
I want to remind everybody that there's an ice cream social at the Presbyterian Heritage Center on July 22nd. Homemade ice cream, so come. And the other thing I wanted to ask is, we haven't had a commissioners workshop in a few years, and we keep waiting on our new town manager, but is there any way that we could go ahead and have one then?
Yeah, we go
Tam?
ahead and hire a town manager.
But I'm wondering if we should, I miss having that because we got a lot of work done in a workshop.
I understand that that's
A
subject to
retreat.
the commissioner's desires.
Well, I do, but I don't know how everybody else feels.
Workshops are great. I'm for it.
Any other commissioner communication? Jane?
Yes, the Cottagers Inc. has their meeting Saturday, the 22nd at 10 o'clock.
Upper
Upper
Anderson.
Anderson.
Anyone else?
I'll just point out that the ice cream at the Presbyterian Heritage Center is not only homemade, it's free. So
Bears included.
Probably.
With that comment, I had no commissioner comments, but I heard an awful lot of communication tonight about bears. And you more so than I have in all the years that I've sat on council. And I know we have put some ordinance in place and everything, but I think moving forward, I think I'd love to revisit maybe seeing what creative ways we have to, obviously the trash is a huge thing to try to move them along, but now they're here. And how can we protect the bears? And what as our neighbors said, I'm fine with that, but yet encourage them to head over the ridge line instead of, here. And I think there's ways to do that. And so I would love for us as a council to maybe revisit this on ways that we can possibly do that. Because I again, these stories are, hey, I had to get someone to take me home, and again, I'm always thinking about really the children that said, hey, that's pretty bear. I don't want to hear a sad story. So I just think I'd love to see us revisit that.
And I'll bet you Captain Melton from North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission, who is responsible for this region, Region 9, would be happy to come and just sit with us. And maybe that's part of what we discuss at the planning retreat, the workshop.
And there's just to that come out. I have spoken to some bear hunters and some folks that have grown up here in the community. I think one of our problems, our bears are feeling comfortable here. I talked to some security and they just said, hey, yeah, the bears come out every night here, between 8 and 10 o'clock. I mean, they are comfortable here. We have to figure out how to make them uncomfortable in a good, humane way.
very good comments.
Anyone else? Okay, meetings to remember. Planning and zoning, the regular scheduled monthly meeting is on July the 20th. It's been rescheduled for Thursday, July the 27th at 10:30 a.m. in Town Hall. Zoom options are available. Tree Board, Tuesday, July the 25th at 9:30 here at Town Hall, Zoom options. Board of Adjustment meeting, tentative, Thursday, July 27th at 5 p.m. Town Hall, Zoom options. Land Care, Wednesday, August 2nd, 9 a.m. Town Hall, Zoom options. August Board of Commissioners meeting, Thursday, August the 10th at 7 p.m. Public forum is going to be at 6:30 in Town Hall with Zoom options. Tree Board, again, Tuesday, August 22nd, August already, folks. 9:30 a.m. in Town Hall with Zoom options. Board of Adjustment tentative Thursday, August the 24th, 5 p.m. Town Hall with Zoom options. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion from Commissioner Otto to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Alexander. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Rusty, let me speak to you a minute.